terms of the level design, I decided to place trees in front of the player's path to force them to learn how to break blocks, and I added a couple small cliffs to teach them how to build. However, I want the player to eventually go underground, so after the cliffs, I added a big drop into a pool of water down below. Water physics. And just to make sure the path is as clear as possible, I decided to add some arrows to the game. I wanted to put them in item frames so I could easily rotate and reuse them, but when testing, I noticed that the player could actually interact with them. I also noticed that I could eat the arrows for some reason. Don't ask why I tried it, just believe me. I guess arrows are a good diet if you want your weight to go down. So to prevent the player from interacting with the arrows, I decided to invert their item frame offset to go the other direction. This let me place them behind the sky and out of the player's reach, and it worked perfectly. I took this opportunity to add some flowers to the game too. But one thing, this solution does allow us to place sideways flowers, so we can just pretend that it doesn't and forget about it. But speaking of decoration, I felt like having the sky show in the dugout areas felt weird, so I added a bunch of different types of sky blocks that were just underexposed versions of the blocks around them to make the level feel easier to read. I think it actually helped a ton. But whatever you do, make sure you do not disable the resource pack. Oh boy. Next, I inset the sky blocks by 0.05 units, which caused the outer blocks you stand on to cast a soft shadow over the background called ambient occlusion. But you may notice that only the non-sky colored blocks have the ambient occlusion, and that's because I used sea lanterns specifically for the sky blocks, and you can't cast shadow on a light source. I tried adding background trees as well, but I felt they were too distracting and made the level harder to read, so I scrapped them. The next thing we needed to add to our game was animated floating items you can pick up, since games are more fun when you can get stronger up until the end. For example, the pickaxe will allow you to break more types of blocks, you know, like in Minecraft. But not only will all these items upgrade what you can do, they're also going to act as respawn points for the player inside of our game. But speaking of respawn points, we still haven't added any danger for our player yet, so I extended the cave out a bit into a big ravine where the player's gonna encounter their first enemy. Now, we don't actually have any enemies yet to fill a ravine with, but we'll get back to that in 1 second. For now, I added a lava parkour room that requires you to use your new pickaxe to drop gravel into the lava to jump across. I also added the entire nether. Okay, maybe not the entire nether, but no one will notice. For the nether's challenge, they do have to bridge across a big pool of lava, and if they do it successfully, they will get an iron sword. Huh, I wonder what they're gonna need that for. I just used command blocks to make the portals teleport you back and forth, and it seemed good enough. And now it's time for the final room. The final room. Sorry, I have something in my throat. I wanted the final room to be an abandoned mine shaft. I luckily already had a lot of the background blocks I needed from earlier, but the cobwebs were a little different. I had to change their whole model to be a full block just so they would barely stick out enough from the wall to appear flat.